Welcome to Chapter 1, Lesson 6, Types of Data. So we talked about this a little bit earlier in the semester, but it's always worth going back over. Individuals are any object described in a data set. So objects include people, places, and things, any kind of nouns. It's not always people, though. Sometimes we have information about the people. Sometimes we have information about the scores, which were made by people, but it's information about the scores or the measurements or the heights or things like that. A variable, of course, is any attribute, any sort of description or measurement that can take different values for different individuals. So, two people can be different heights. Two books can have different numbers of pages, things like that. They're still books. They still have pages, but one has 300 and one has 600. The values, the 300 and the 600 there, those are the states that a variable can take. With numbers, it's fairly easy to tell the difference. With other non-number descriptions, non-number variables, they're just going to be words that describe things. Left versus right, up versus down, red, blue, green, yellow, orange, whatever. Those types of variables are called categorical variables. Again, they just describe and place individuals into particular groups or categories. These are all the 6-inch bolts. Those are all the 9-inch bolts. Those are all the hex head bolts with sort of hexagon shapes, as opposed to the carriage bolts, which are much more rounded on the top, sort of shiny. Different ways of categorizing things. As opposed to using numbers that it actually makes sense to do math with. Those are quantitative variables. Sometimes we get numbers that are actually categorical. That's usually things like your house number, your zip code. It's just a shorter way of saying where, what, or who we're describing. Jersey numbers often are categorical variables. And lastly, a distribution is just whatever pattern of variation that shows how often a variable takes certain things, certain values. So that's the overview. Our next video is going to get into example 1.